Yeah, that doesn't look like a fucking Ukrainian drone hit it. If anything, even if you were to take that seriously, you thought that you were trying to hit a fucking Ukrainian drone and you shot the fucking plane. Even then, I don't know what the Ukraine.
Turn to that investigation into the deadly plane crash in Kazakhstan. Experts pointing to signs that the airliner.
This is so funny. Won't Canada be a blue state with a lot of electoral votes? That is, dude, peak liberalism is like, hey, man, I'm trying to see the positives here, okay? The silver lining. How will this... I know Mind Drive is joking. He's not that much of a fucking lib. I don't think anyone is that much of a lib. How would permanently annexing Canada benefit the Democratic Party? Matt Iglesias reporting from Ottawa, soon to be American territory.
May have been brought down by Russian anti-aircraft fire. Inez de la Catera has the latest. Inez, good morning.
Good morning, Whit. The plane's black boxes have been recovered. A commission has been set up to investigate the crash. One U.S. official tells ABC News Russia could be to blame. But this morning, the Kremlin once again declining to comment.
This morning, the investigation intensifying after the deadly plane crash of Azerbaijan Airlines Flight 8243. This cell phone video captures the terrifying moment when the plane is seen hurtling toward the ground, suddenly leveling out, then regaining altitude. Moments later, the aircraft quickly descending before crashing in a ball of fire. Footage from inside the cabin shows the unsettling moments before the crash, with visible damage to the plane's wing. Passengers sit with oxygen masks, life vests resting on seats. Shortly after survivors were pulled from the wreckage, small holes were seen scattered across the fuselage. Now, a U.S. official and Azeri government source tell ABC News there are indications that the plane was likely hit by a Russian anti-aircraft system.
Certainly, there are lots of indicators to point towards a down of that aircraft.
Andrew Nicholson runs Osprey, a company that advises carriers flying in the region. He pointed to photos of the plane's wreckage that appear to show what he says is damage consistent with surface-to-air fire.
There are no scuffs or bumps or dents that would also indicate, aircraft or birds hitting the aircraft fuselage, and also the direction of the shrapnel, which looks like it's coming from below.
The aircraft itself torn apart on impact, its tail upside down. But the Kremlin urging the public to wait for the results of the investigation. The plane taking off Christmas morning from Azerbaijan's capital, Baku, initially heading to Grozny before abruptly deviating from its course, flying across the Caspian Sea and crashing in Kazakhstan. Of the 67 people on board, 38 were killed. Remarkably, 29 survived. This morning, people gathered to mourn those lost in the crash as some survivors return home for further treatment.
And the crash prompting comparisons to the 2014 downing of a Malaysian Airlines flight, which investigators determined was shot down by Russian forces in Ukraine. Whit.
Investigators taking a close look at those similarities. Inez, thank you.
We start with the major developments surrounding the plane crash that killed 38 people in Kazakhstan on Christmas Day. An investigation carried out by Azerbaijan Airlines has now blamed external physical and technical interference for the crash. It comes amid growing questions about whether or not the plane was shot down. The plane was flying from the Azerbaijani capital Baku to the Russian city of Grozny before crashing near the city of Aktau. It had diverted from an area of southern Russia where Moscow has used its air defense systems against Ukrainian drones. Experts have said that the pattern of the holes in the plane's fuselage could have been caused by damage from a Russian air defense system. The Kremlin says it's too soon to say what caused the crash. Our correspondent Alice Porter joins me now. A lot we don't know, Alice, but what do we know?
Well, this is a major development from Azerbaijan Airlines. Based on preliminary findings, they say the cause of the plane crash was external physical and technical interference, which suggests whatever happened on Wednesday certainly wasn't accidental or human error. Now, we know at least 38 people were killed and 29 people miraculously survived this plane crash. But there's huge speculation as to who was responsible for the crash in the first place. Quite quickly, as you were just saying there, people were pointing the finger at Russia and particularly warrant concern about whether Russian drones may have mistakenly shot it down. Now, a spokesman for the Kremlin said that they didn't want to give any assessments until an official investigation had made their conclusions. They have suggested that the pilot may have attempted an emergency landing after a bird strike. But today we've also been hearing from the Russian aviation authority Rosaviastia that said around the time of the crash, they're saying that Ukrainian drones were operating in the area of Grozny where the flight was bound for. So they're clearly pointing the finger at the Ukrainians.
It doesn't look like a Ukrainian drone hit it. If anything, even if you were to take that seriously, you thought that you were trying to hit a Ukrainian drone and you shot the plane. Even then, I don't know what the Ukrainian drones would be doing in that territory, you know?
Clearly, this plane crash is going to have some quite significant geopolitical ramifications as time goes on and we get more information. But what we do know is Azerbaijan Airlines are saying that the cause of it was external physical and technical interference.